All right, Bill, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay, sir. You might
That's
want to get
all
a
I
little
wanted.
closer to the mic.
That's all I wanted to know. All right. Well, here we go. Get myself organized. Welcome. The meeting's going to begin shortly. And what I want to say this morning is good morning. I'm Jan Clodner, and Bill, I'm so proud and happy to see you up and around. You're looking great. We want to both personally welcome all of you back to the last Success North Dallas meeting of 2020. And what a year it's been, but it's not over yet. Before we get started, a couple things I'd like to go over. Even though your mic is muted, please make sure it remains that way until the conclusion of the meeting. If you're using a live video like on your cell phone, make sure it's stationary, no mobile phones with the camera on while you're cleaning the garage, making breakfast, or doing other things that you might not want the rest of us to see. If you have any comments to make during the meeting or wish to send a general message to everyone or to another participant or have a question or comment, freely use the chat function. We monitor it continuously. Please type in your questions and it will be read by a monitor. Also, be sure to stick around after the meeting to join us in an exciting, often informative, but always a fun network session. That's it. Thank you for joining in. Now let's begin.
No sound, Jan.
Well, I guess the sound didn't come through on that. I apologize for that.
But it
And
was a
now,
great video.
It was
a great
visually
video.
appealing.
Yeah, that's good. All right,
That
I
was
want to
done.
welcome you all again, and I want to turn it over to my business partner at SND and longtime friend, Mr. Bill Wallace.
I love that picture. And thank you for the intro. And I love the fact that all of you all are here today. You know, if you think about what Success North Dallas really is, the logo tells a story. Success is what we all aspire to. Success is what we are. And the interconnecting C's is how we do it, connecting the right people for the right reasons at the right time. And it's been so simple. People try to make things so difficult, but our qualifications for membership have not changed since 1988. Be a success in your own eyes. I have no right to define what success is for you, nor does anyone else. Honor your commitments. Let's go back to the handshake and be a giver. It's all about our fellow men and women. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Success North Dallas. And I would encourage you, I want to welcome you, first-time attendees, new members, attendees for 30 years. I just want to welcome you today, this holiday season. And go to our new website, put together by Brad Purnell at RP2, and take a look at it. Take a look at what we're doing. Take a look at Jeff Crilly's videos that are up there. Look at our members. Look at our past speakers, the testimonials, and especially the young executives. You will be amazed about what this little, not little, 200 people group plus has done over the past 32 years. 100 companies now, 1,000 jobs created, and 7, soon to be 8, Ernst & Young Entrepreneurs of the Year. So again, we thank you. We're so glad you're out there. We're so glad you're a part of it. And you know, somebody laughed about the name, and Jan, if you can put me on screen view, but you'll see that behind me today is a logo of the great state of Texas. And some people have asked me, you know, why did you name it Success North Dallas? Well, I wanted to sell insurance in North Dallas. I thought this would last 3 to 5 years. And the big guy upstairs got a hold of it. And now we're in our fourth decade, 32 years later. I had no idea. And so we talk about it, but you see the logo of the state of Texas. Some people said, why didn't you name it Success North Texas? Why didn't you name it Success Texas? Or why didn't you name it Success World? It's true. The true story is I named it Success North Dallas because that's where I wanted to sell insurance. I did not have that long-term vision at the beginning that came in that third, fourth year. And I'm so appreciative to all of you all that are here with us this morning. It's been a gift. So for so many years, especially when I'm sick and I'm down, and I have all of you people around me, there are not words that can express the family unity of this group, at least not words that I can come up with, far bigger than I. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We're so glad you're here. And we've got an incredible speaker. But I want to turn it over to Michelle to introduce our team, talk a little bit about stuff, and I'll come back on in just a minute. But Michelle Pearson is the senior partner with Windsor Morgan. She is also our chief of staff. And she is a devoted friend, not only to myself, but to Success North Dallas. So Michelle, take it away.
You are so kind, Bill. I can't tell you how much it's meant to be with Success North Dallas and just be your friend. But I wanted to thank the team. Bill asked me to help him this morning, and I'm glad that he asked for help because he's usually doing it all and plowing through. So it's my honor to be here and to welcome everybody. And Mitchell, we're excited to see you and to hear what you have to say. Your new exciting avenue that you're going. You always have something amazing to say. But I wanted to thank the team. Let's see, 3 years ago, I met Bill. And the first time I came to Success North Dallas, I asked him, can I volunteer? And it's been a major blessing. And so if any of you want to volunteer, I'm putting in a shameless plug. Please do. It's been a blessing. I have met amazing people. And here's our team. First off, I want to thank Jan Klodner. Jan, you are absolutely amazing. He is Bill's right-hand man, does everything. He's just been a blessing to my life and to Bill and to our entire Success North Dallas team. Dean Lindsay, he has some new, check him out, what he's doing. He has some new music out. He's helped with so many things. Melanie Murphy, she's been a blessing. The Voice, she has a little one now that is just blessing her life and her husband. Casey Hasten with VIP. She's my right hand gal and amazing. If you don't know her, please get to know her. Anya Zagan, she's amazing. Tammy Barrier coordinating for our bonus programs and happy hours. Misty Hoyt, check out Misty's photography. If you need profile pictures, headshots, check her out. She's absolutely an amazing photographer. Jeff Crilly, of course, Bill's talked about him. He's in his Real News Network. And Chris Gambari, thank you for what you do with all that you help with our videos and broadcasting across the net. And really, even though it's Success North Dallas, it is becoming Success World. And we're reaching people all across the United States and really across the world. And then Jeff has a daily, the rundown. I don't know what time you get up. I can't remember, Jeff, what time you get up to make sure that this goes out, but he does an amazing rundown of what's going on in this world, in the business world. Check that out. Bill wanted to thank the Marriott Quorum Hotels, Aaron Cook, for taking care of our out-of-town guests. Please, Bill is asking us to support them as they've supported Success North Dallas. All these people have been a blessing. They've been a blessing to my life and an honor to get to know them. So just wanted to thank them for that. And then also Lucinda and Kathy, Lucinda Rush and Kathy Clatterbaugh, they take care of our social media. And please check in if you are not part of our social media account. Please like our pages, interact. You will be able to get to know amazing people. I just actually this morning I went on Facebook and I checked in. Even though it says that we're over in Prestonwood, I put we're on Zoom. So if you could do that, the more activity we have on our social media, the better. Lucinda and Kathy always post pictures, interesting things, what's coming up. Just be connected, especially now with COVID. We need to be connected together. So please do that. It's a huge opportunity. I know with what we do at the America's Future Series, we are using social media hugely because it's a way to stay connected. And it's that cross networking. So like our LinkedIn group, like our LinkedIn company page, ask Bill to be connect with him and me and Jan and all of us, all the team, and use hashtags. So I think I'm supposed to Jeff Crilly. Speaking of social media and broadcast media, Real News PR, check them out. They have amazing podcasts coming up. I think that's all I'm supposed to do, Bill. Is that right? Are you going to go on with the in the news?
You know, I want to add a little bit more about, first of all, I have to thank all of you people. There is not a Success North Dallas because of Bill Wallace. There's a Success North Dallas because each and every one of you volunteers have given so much from the heart over the years that there are no words to express it. It's just simple thanks for all of that. And I want to jump to Real News PR and Jeff Crilly. We've talked a little bit before about Jeff, but Jeff is an innovator. While everybody else was sitting back, he was creating. You know, we're at a point in time where years are months, months are weeks, weeks are days, and days are hours, to quote my friend Jeff Hazlett. And Jeff is one of those that has stepped in and done just that. While most people sit on the sidelines waiting for tomorrow, leaders lead in the moment. And Jeff is a true leader. If you've not been to Real News PR Studios, tell him you'd like to come by around 11:30. They serve lunch every day. And it's good food. And the offices, it's like a anthill. Everybody's just running and doing, and there are people everywhere, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So Jeff, thank you for your friendship. Thank you for hanging in beside us and doing all of the great, great, great things that you've done.
Thank you, Bill.
In the news, we always do this. The Lincoln Experience event that they came to, Ford Lincoln came to us and said, could we do an event with you all? And it turned out not to be an event. I said, of course, we'd love to. Let's talk about it. Well, they gave away, if you went to a test drive, they gave you a $50 gift certificate to Fan Experience, the Cowboy store at the Star. And then if you, in that particular time frame, after the test drive, but before the next Cowboy game, you were put in a drawing. And they gave 8 of our members two seats to 8 different games. And it just was really a blessing. We were supposed to have had a huge happy hour there with Cowboys on December the 2nd, and it was going to be sponsored by CloudX, Mike Rochelle, and thank you. And we're still going to do it late in the first quarter, just as soon as we're cleared through the legal, the health, diversity, and all the other departments of a major corporation like Ford. But just want to thank all of you all and Mike for stepping up. And then Jan, you were at our Young Executives meeting yesterday.
Yes, I was.
Would you bring us up to date on that?
I sure would. The Young Executives is a group that started a year ago under the guidance and sponsorship of Bronwyn Allen, high-profile staffing, and coordinated by Kent Barner, the CIO suite. They've both done a great job in organizing this young group. It's grown tremendously over the years, this past year, and coming the same issues overcoming the same issues we all faced during 2020. Their mission is to uplift the younger professionals in the workforce, uphold business excellence through raised standards, and character development, and to upgrade the Dallas business community through high quality networking. This is their board members, 2020. They've done an outstanding job. And this year we had our elections the other, yes, Bill.
No, I'm saying clapping. I'm just
Oh,
clapping.
you're clapping. I thought you were yelling at me because I did.
Oh,
something.
no, I love what they've done. And
They've
Kent,
done it.
Kent Barner and Ron Allen, my God, and Kristen and Andrew Reed, Grace. Just so that, yeah, just thank you all from me. And Angie,
Yes.
thank you.
And thank you from me too. And with the
Thank you,
and
Bill.
this group, with the graciousness of Craig Hall, the SND YE held its first meeting in the boardroom of the Hall Group downtown. And under the leadership of Kirsten Fassler, SND YE is well on its way to duplicate the Success North Dallas phenomenal achievements that we have experienced over the last 32 years. To carry on through 2021, Shelby Blevins is now going to be the president, with Kirsten as the, I guess, the outgoing president, but they're going to work together and going to continue to grow SND YE. Their continuing series of Lunch and Learns is already planned for January 21, Forming Healthy Habits in 2021. It's going to be a great lunch meeting. I've been to all of them and always walk away with something. And you don't have to be a young executive to join on this, but you'll get more information on it later. Mentors, they're looking for mentors. And just a side note to all our members, if you know of any young professionals, or if you have a young executive professional in your own organization, give a thought to sponsoring him or her as a Success North Dallas young executive. To encourage young professionals to join, we are giving them a $100 discount for the first year. You might even want to sponsor them. It would be a great investment for your organization and for an up and coming young professional. Also, the American Future Series that David Hamilton and Michelle Pearson at America Future Series have an exciting 2021 planned program, including the March 2021 Magellan Awards dinner aboard the Odyssey 3 yacht in Washington, D.C. Wow, more to come on that. That's going to be an exciting group. This is a little bit about Maggie. Maggie is the most heavily decorated 82nd Airborne officer, an outstanding patriot who continued to serve our nation in Vietnam, Yemen, and at home, championing civil rights, equality, and social justice, and U.S. national security until his 103rd year. This honoree this year is going to be General Stanley McChrystal. Many years ago, when General McChrystal was a youngster, Maggie taught him to fish. And it was his wish to someday honor General McChrystal. 2021 is the year. We have a special group of individuals and companies who have joined us to come alongside of us on our 25th anniversary, to keep our costs down and to ensure another 25 years. Please keep these companies in mind if you ever need their service. Show you the list up on the board. These are all great companies, and just want to thank them. We'll fly through their logos. They have really helped us out and continue to support us as we grow. Our partner meeting, partner members. Bill, you want to take over?
Yeah, I'd love to. And I want to mention something about our partner members. This was our 25th year, and they came alongside of us financially. And it made all the difference in the world, because when you think about our due structure and what we're able to do, it's because of our partner members in many, many cases. And I want to acknowledge Phil Barnett, who was the first one. He just said, "I believe in you." And that meant a lot. We always use a quote for the day. And when I say we always use the quote for a day, it's something I look for to match up with not only the speaker, but with the times. And I thought this quote was very telling. There are only two ways to live your life. One is though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. And even in these crazy, crazy times, we are living in a time of miracles. We are living in a time of new records being set. We are living in a time of opportunity. We are living in a time where somebody can start a new movement that can build into something greater than that person ever expected. Much like Success North Dallas, when I say, I thought I'd pay my dues in the last 3 to 5 years. No. Now, when I say, hey, why am I still involved in this? The pat answer that always comes back is be quiet, go back to work. You're not done yet. And that embodies our speaker today, Mitchell Levy. I've grown to know and love Mitchell over the last number of years. We met in New York City, San Francisco, and Vegas. And Mitchell is a publisher. He's published over 800 books, to say nothing of the books he's written himself. He's a guy that came to me and said, Bill, we really need to talk. After we'd talked 2 or 3 times, and I just didn't want to mess with it. But he said, let's get that book out of you. Well, I'm sitting here with 60,000 word manuscript, trying to write about myself. And in 3 hours on the telephone, he got that book out of me. And that book, being a catalyst for success, is a bestseller. And it's a thank you to Mitchell Levy, and a huge thank you. But as we move through this, he not only got the book out of me, but we became deep friends. We're C-Suite Club members. That's where we met. We're Hero Club, as several of you in the audience are today. And Mitchell's talk is Credibility Nation. You can't be credible externally if you're not credible internally. But more than that, it's setting in motion a movement, a Credibility Nation movement, a movement of getting back to credibility. And Mitchell lives in California. We won't hold that against him. He always wears these funny little hats, and he always has an incredible smile on his face. And the last time he was here, last December, we wrote a book during the meeting. The book was The Value of the Texas Handshake. And today, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do, but we're going to be part of the beginning of a movement, Credibility Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, give my friend Mitchell Levy a huge Success North Dallas welcome. Mitchell.
I am so honored, Bill. First of all, I love you, and I'm so glad you're here. And for those in Success North Dallas, thank you for hosting me. This is beautiful to be here the 3rd December in a row. And I thought it was tough last year when I was trying to figure out what do we do that's different. And ended up, we overall, the entire group, we wrote a book live in about 5 minutes. And that was absolutely beautiful. What I'm going to do this time is, as Bill mentioned, I've spent a little over a year interviewing 500 thought leaders, and I'll include that in my talk. And I've got my next TED Talk coming up. And the TED Talk itself is January 16th. Because of what's going on in the world, it's going to be it is in Vegas, but there'll also be live streaming. And it is focused on credibility. So what I thought I'd do is I'll just start with that. Let me just share my screen, just so there's something going on in the background. And what'll happen is we'll start there. So generally, I like being interactive. So certainly feel free to talk, but not doing this particular piece. This one is practice for me, just to make sure we're moving forward appropriately. After this, depending on the timing and how things are going, we'll probably just move into something very unique that I've not done publicly before. And so stay tuned, stay in your seat. Anyhow, thanks for welcoming me. What I'd like to suggest, because this is my first time doing it publicly, what I'd like to suggest is, if you have comments and you feel like they should be private, let's get a little bit of time together, or if you public, that's fine too. But if you have feedback for this talk, I would absolutely love to hear it, because I need to improve it, make it better, so I can do it in Vegas in January. Anyhow, thanks again for hosting me. Give me a second to collect my heart, and then we'll start. My first boss out of business school did a phenomenal job teaching me how to be a horrible boss. He was narcissistic and hedonistic, and he taught me how to be a really bad manager, treating people with no respect. I remember a number of my bosses at Sun Microsystems saying to me, Mitchell, you could be running a division or even more if you were a better people manager. When I left Sun during the dot-com days, I started my own e-commerce consultancy, and it did really well. As it was getting bigger, so did my ego. When my head was getting too big, my wife, who is my best coach and accountability sponsor, would encourage me to be a better human. Sometimes it worked, and sometimes it didn't. The good news is I still hear her voice in my head. After the dot-com crash, my consultancy business essentially went to zero. I made a decision to focus less on me and on self, and to focus on others. I started a book publishing company, and we've published the content of other people in over 750 books. You know, we are all born credible. I call the opposite of credible dubious. So as we grow up, we are taught to live and work dubiously, just like my first boss did for me. It's our life experiences, the world around us, our mentors, our examples that show us that dubious ways work, and we emulate them. So when people are going down the road and they have a choice of credible versus dubious, many choose dubious because that is what they were taught. That is what they know. Let me highlight two historical events. The dot-com crash happened as a result of society not being able to absorb technology change quick enough, and many of us bringing about it in a very dubious way. You know, if you were around, you'd notice people were buying things with stock that was paper money, items that they didn't actually cash in yet. We were so absorbed at the time that missing meetings, coming late, not paying our bills because we could pay them tomorrow was common practice. But when the crash happened, it happened fairly robustly. It was fairly equally shared. That was different than the 2007, 2010 financial crash. That was a result of very similar dubious behavior, but the penalties were not fair. The creative financiers who caused the crash walked away with billions. And what did we do? We changed the rules to give them a slap on the wrist. Over the last 2 decades, we've seen dubious behavior grow and be rewarded, which shows up in the American State of Credibility Survey. What it says is only 57% of Americans are perceived as credible, which means 43% are dubious. And 50% of the survey respondents said that it's worse this year than it was last year. Based on the survey, the lowest ranking professionals were national news media, lawyers, members of Congress, and automotive salespeople. Now, when I was growing up, I could never have imagined that members of Congress and national news media would be on the same negative list as lawyers and automotive salespeople. These results got me thinking about our humanity. So I looked up the definition. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it's compassionate, sympathetic, or generous behavior or disposition. The quality or state of being humane. Now, looking at the stats and the definition of humanity, I can come to one depressing conclusion. We are losing our humanity. Over a 1-year period, I interviewed 500 thought leaders to understand the concept of credibility, and I was shocked by my findings. 2% of you don't show up for a scheduled interview and don't say why before or afterwards. 4% of you come super late, which is after the hour for a live show, while overall, 23% show up late. 80% of you who are great in person suck online, and 90% of you need support on clarity on who you serve and what you do to serve them. At interview 475, I had a massive aha moment. You know, I have 400 plus video testimonials, many of which say, Mitchell, I've been looking for clarity for the last 2, 4, 10, 12 years, and you gave it to me in 5 minutes. Thank you. I have to tell you, with 400 of those and people telling me that I'm brilliant, it was easy for me to let my ego grow again and think how cool I am. But it was at interview 475 that I realized it was too easy. I was with people for 5 to 10 minutes and shared with them some small words of wisdom that in some cases changed the trajectory of their lives. One should not be able to do that so quickly. That's when I realized it isn't just me, it's the framework that was created. It involves throwing away a lot of the BS positioning we've been taught and finding, delivering, and succinctly articulating our purpose. We've been taught wrong. We've been taught to do business the hard way. We've been taught to do business without all the components of credibility. So at interview 475, I had a wake-up call. Since business school, I've been looking for that person who could teach me and others how to bring humanity to business. What I realized is I needed to stop looking for somebody else and that we all need to play a part, and we need to do that now. So I ask you, can we bring humanity back to how we live, work, and play? Is there a path forward that will allow us to bring back our humanity, a path that will let us cross from the dubious to the credible side of the river? I'm going to say yes. Let me start with the current definition of credibility, then the updated definition that came out of the research. According to the Oxford Dictionary, credibility is the quality that somebody has that makes people believe or trust them. Now, unless you're reading between the lines, that's only 1/3 accurate. I'm going to share the redefined definition of credibility and do it by taking the phrase know, like, and trust to a new level. Credibility is the quality of being known, being likable, and being trustworthy. Now that I've shared know, like, and trust as the 3 pillars of credibility, let me share the composition of each of those pillars. The 4 components of being known are demonstrating your desire to serve others, essentially servant leadership, showing your intent and commitment to do the right thing, and sharing your integrity. You know, going back to the survey, the top professionals in terms of credibility are nurses, doctors, and pharmacists. And you ask yourself, why is that? It's the clear perception that they are there to serve their patients. They have no personal agenda, no political agenda, just a human agenda. Imagine what would happen if the salespeople in your company were perceived as being there to serve your clients. Let's talk about the pillar of being likable. Here's what's really cool about this one. There is now a formula on being liked, and it's really simple. There are two components of likability: sharing the stage and showing up when you show up. The first component of being likable is to share the stage, or as I like to say, spread some cred dust. Cred dust is that magic that happens when you share somebody else's ideas, thoughts, or actions. And guess what? Everybody wins. The person you're sharing is being recognized. Your audience benefits from that knowledge, and you are recognized as someone who cares about being up to speed with other people's approaches, which shows a desire to serve others. And here's the magic. When you pull cred dust out of your bag, it not only replenishes itself, there's more in the bag than when you started. The second component of being likable is to show respect by showing up when you show up. This means coming early, coming prepared, and coming with your heart. And coming early, I defined early to a live show as coming 10 minutes or before. On time is 9 to 4 minutes. Late is 3 to 0 minutes. And super late or rude is after the hour. You remember that 4% thought it was credible to come after the hour for a live interview talking about their credibility. Now, let's give people the benefit of the doubt. Let's say they were taught dubiously. They were taught that success is having 10 to 20 meetings a day. And when one meeting goes late, they all go late. And they think that's a sign of being a credible, successful person. Wrong. That's an act of disrespect for those you were late for. On coming prepared, it simply means Googling the person's name and company before you meet with them so that you're prepared to give insight and to be of service. On coming with your heart, it means not holding back. 50% of the interviewees walked into the interview with their heart. Now, after the green room conversation, I was able to move that number up to 80%. That still means that people don't default to showing you their heart. If I can't see who you are, how can I get to like you? How can I get to know you? How can I get to respect you? Why would I want to do business with you? So the two components of being likable are sharing the stage and showing up when you show up. Talking about the last pillar, the four components of being trustworthy are showing up as your authentic self, demonstrating integrity in all you say and do, showing your vulnerability, and being coachable in every situation. You know, during the interviews, I had someone who didn't prepare. And when I asked him if he minded if I do a little bit of coaching, he said yes. He had his way of doing things and I had mine, and he didn't want to learn mine. We decided not to do the interview. The question I'll ask you is, if you're hiring a consultant or an employee to your firm, why would you hire someone to work for you who didn't want to listen to other employees, other experts, or your customers, as they know it all and can tell you the way it's supposed to be? You don't. So in thinking about this framework, there are many gray areas that can arise. And one of them is the bimodal construct of credible versus dubious. You know, it's not as simple as credible versus dubious, right or wrong, black or white, red or blue, heaven or hell. Credible people can, and sometimes do, step into dubiousness. It's important to both catch yourself and surround yourself with accountability partners that will let you know. Many people living on the dubious side of the river are there because they don't know better. They were taught to live and work dubiously, and it works for them, so they keep on doing it. Let's make sure we educate people on what makes someone credible and what makes them dubious, and encourage credibility. Let's show them the path towards credibility. I want you to start now. Don't wait. Educate. You can do that easily by thinking about the top 3 things you can do to help your credibility. the top 3 things you can do to be a better human. Sprinkle cred dust, show up when you show up, and be open to coaching. You can make a conscious decision to be credible instead of dubious. Credibility is more than a word. It's a way of living. It's a blueprint to bring back our humanity. I am vulnerable. I have integrity. I am authentic. I am trustworthy. I am a servant leader. I have the intent and commitment to do the right thing. I am coachable. I share the stage and treat others with respect. I am credible. I am human. What are you? Thank you very much. That always gets me. Thank you, Alan. So guys, I'd love to get some feedback. Let's do that. Let's do that a little bit later, unless you have a super strong comment or question. Thank you for the comments. It's beautiful to see you guys do that. It still needs some work, I think, but the message is powerful, and it really is up to us. It's not, there's nobody coming. There's not this wild person who's going to say, we're bringing back credibility to the world. It's each and every one of you in this room. It's each and every one of us who, it's the way when we grew up, our parents taught us, our grandparents taught us. It was shocking to me when I graduated B school that I was taught all these books talked about customer service. And when I entered corporate space, companies didn't give a shit about customer service. They cared about money. And it's only gotten worse. And so it's up to us. We can fix this. All right. So Jeff Crilly, are you ready to have some fun?
I'm ready.
All right. Can we spotlight both Jeff and me? And I'll tell you what we're doing. So what happened is I started the interviews. It was 500 interviews. And it turns out that the same 5 questions that I started asking were the ones that really work. And I wanted to potentially first we can play. Jeff, I got to ask a question.
Sure.
I've got 2 videos I can play. One's a minute and one's 3 minutes.
Okay.
And I'm just curious which one I should do. One is just a short compilation of C-pops. The other is sort of, it's what we use today to show people what a cred reel is. It just shows all the things we're doing together. Do you have a strong opinion either way of?
I say let's give them the 3-minute version.
Okay, so I will do that. And just so let me give you a thought on that before we go ahead. Thank you for letting me be prepared. So what happened is in the 500 interviews, it's the same 5 questions, and I'll walk through the questions with you, because what Jeff's agreed to do is something I've never done before, is to actually do a cred reel live. A cred reel is a credibility scissor reel. It's a 5 to 7 minute interview. And what you're going to see that most people don't get to see. So when I was doing 10 or 12 cred reels a day, what would happen is there'd be overlap and people would go into the green room and be able to pay attention to the conversation. And I kept hearing things from people, Mitchell, you got to sell this green room stuff. And it's a private conversation between 2 people. And so I don't mind people seeing it, but it's not a for sale thing. And so when I was thinking about, well, what do I do that's different? And I said, Jeff, I haven't done this live yet in front of an audience. So would you mind getting a little bit of coaching online while we're doing a cred reel, and he said yes. And so, Jeff, I'm beyond honored. So thank you. And let
I'm
me.
I'm the one who's honored and a little bit scared.
Well, me too, right? I haven't done this one before, right? So, but I'm generally I come with heart, and it's and our goal is to bring out the best of who you are. So let's see. Let me start this video and then start sharing. All right. So video started. Let's do share screen. And the video is, this is one of those that, you only get because of the pleasure of Zoom and running yourself. It'd be great if somebody was in the back room. It'd be one of your people, right? Jeff in the back room going, oh, this is how we do it. All right, let's find it again. I think this is the one. So let's see what happens. Obviously, the thought leader is Jeff, really. Jeff told me he already watched the 13-minute cut video. Oh, we should have popped your picture in there, Jeff. So that's so the input output diagram, for those that have talked to me, is a very simple way to look at the life at anything we do. It's anytime you have a situation, you want to take a look at, well, what are the inputs, what are the outputs? Because we all get stuck in this black box. Jeff, I thought what I'd show one more time is sometimes in our conversations, people are curious about, and let's share with the audience I'll remind everyone the 3 pillars of credibility, but more importantly, what I'll do is let's share the makeup of the 5 questions, and that'll help you. So you comfortable? Do you feel like
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
feel like you've got your C-pop down and ready to go?
Well, I'm anxious to do this organically. I haven't rehearsed any answers, and I think whether I get them right or wrong, everybody benefits from just seeing how you coach.
Okay. Well, there's nothing wrong.
Okay.
There are many different rights and nothing wrong. What happens, which is beautiful, and this is why I thought I'd give a chance for people to see it. Um, just so I can hear it. What do you think your C-pop is? What would you like to say that is?
So I think you and I are in a very similar business. We're both helping people establish their credibility. You're doing it through book publishing. I'm doing it through the news media and podcasting.
Okay. So we'll talk about that. So I normally write that down. It's the concepts are okay. That's a little bit more like a value proposition than the CPOP, that customer point of pain. So what you want to think, and we'll walk you through there.
All right, I'll try another version. Sometimes when I'm in the elevator and they say, "Hey, what do you do?" I just kind of blurt out, "I make people famous." And it's a very short, kind of pithy, like, "Oh, how do you do that?" And then that leads to a longer conversation. But is making people famous my is
It
that
is so much closer. As a matter of fact, I believe after what you just said, I believe I actually have a good feeling. Typically, what happens, Jeff, is if we start with who do you serve? And I don't know if it's people or business people or right. So you who do you serve? And typically like 1 word, 2 words, um, just to give you a feeling for mine, which is really broad. Mine is humans that want to be seen as credible.
Gotcha?
And so I have a good thought. Let me share my screen for a second.
Sure.
And for those that, if it's relatively, this concept is new, and if it's the first time you've seen me talk about credibility, in the book Credibility Nation and the offer will give, you can get a PDF copy. It's one of those things we decided to include. This is what the 3 pillars of credibility looks like. And let me go to the next page. And Jeff, this is the one I want you to think about, and for the audience as well. If you'll notice on the right of the screen, those are the 5 questions that we always ask. And the CPOP, what is your customer point of pain, is typically 1 to 10 words, 1 to 3 seconds. Now, if you can do a CPOP that has nothing about you, so you don't want to say, I do this or we do that. Because what happens is, just like there are on web pages, there are ad blockers, humans have salespeople blockers. And so when you start a conversation, when you first meet somebody and you start with I or we, they sometimes think, oh, salesperson, they're going to sell me something. Let's not pay attention. So you want to start with essentially who you serve. That's where the customer point of pain comes in. Question 2 is tell me more. Now that, Jeff, is where you would elaborate. That's a little bit more like your value proposition. So that would be, we make people famous by and blah, 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 and talk more. And we'll talk about that. The third one is what gives you credibility to do what you do. And you've got that coming out of your pores, essentially. And you'll notice that the first 3 questions focus on the pillar of trustworthy. Now, the 4th question is interesting. It says, how do you share your credibility? Now, what happens is people often get stuck on saying, well, I'm on this social media channel, I speak on stages, and that's potentially half of it. But what I'm really looking for there is I'm looking for, how do you demonstrate your desire to serve others? And so for those people, we'll talk about the boards they're on, or the nonprofits they play with, or the things they do in their community, or what gets their soul. That's what I'm really looking for. And then the last question is, how do people reach out to you? So what I'm going to say is let's focus on the answers to questions 2 and 3. And then what often happens, Jeff, is we magically the CPOP will come out of that.
Cool.
So you're going to say your CPOP, and I'm going to say something credible, and then I'm going to say, tell me more. So tell me more.
Okay. We're working on number 1 or number 2 and 3 right now?
Oh, we're working on question number 2. And so just so you know, here's what's really interesting. I'll let you know this. I always ask the same 5 questions with the exact same way. First question, what's your CPOP? Second one is tell me more. Third one is how you have credibility to do what you do. So, so Jeff, tell me more.
Okay. So our company does basically 2 things right now to help people get their message out. We get them on the news as thought leaders. They're getting quoted in print, radio, television all over the country. Studies show that if it's in the news media, it's 7 times more believable than advertising. So you could say that what we do is the opposite of advertising. If this is a marketing umbrella and paid advertising is over here, everything we're doing is way over here. I call it attraction marketing. Not selly. You're gonna see me on the news. You're gonna start listening to my podcast. You might tune into one of my speeches. You'll start following me on social media, and you'll be attracted to do business with me. Is this helping, Mitchell? I know your wheels are.
Yeah, no, this is great. I typically what happens, and you're doing a great job here. Question 2, probably the thing is, if I'm hiring you, what are you giving to me? So
Right.
in 1 minute or less. So I'm hiring Jeff Curley. What do you deliver?
I am helping you achieve credibility as a thought leader in whatever field that you want to be recognized through the news media and through helping you host a podcast with the production value of commercial television.
That was so much better than you could possibly imagine. Thank you.
Thanks.
And what happens when I share your CPOP, your answers are going to change slightly. Okay. So let's do the answer to question 3 first. And so question 3 is, how do you have credibility to do what you do? And just so you know, this is what happens is in the green room, hopefully you're starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. Jeff, you're doing awesome. Okay. That we don't have anyone, just pretend it's you and me. There's nobody behind us. Right. And in question 3, I'm actually asking you to brag, because I really want you to be able to tell me why you're that guy, why you're that firm. So Jeff, how do you have credibility to do what you do?
So I'm going to start with my career path, 25 years in TV news. I know the media. I was the media. Then I wrote a book on publicity. And as you and I are both fans of books, it's a great way to anoint yourself an expert. I sold 70,000 copies of that book through speeches. And during the speeches, I was taking live questions from the audience, which I always say, if you're writing a book, you're smart. You get 10 times smarter when you take it out on the road. And so taking live questions about public relations from audiences 300 times a year for 6 straight years set me up perfectly to start this public relations firm. And that's when it went from theory, I think this would work, to now I get paid to get people on the news. And so, yeah, I hope that helps.
No, that's a good start. So Jeff, how many people you think you've been in front of when you're doing that audience stuff?
Tens of thousands over the course of the speaking career.
And how many clients have you worked with since you've started the business?
We currently have 135 ongoing clients on retainer, the largest being Walmart, the smallest being an author at home. Over the course of 12 years of running the firm, I would say more than 1,000 clients.
So Jeff, I would actually say both of those are beautiful things to say as part of how you have credibility to do what you do.
Thank you.
Oh, because they're actually amazing. So let's go back to your CPOP. Now, if we had a little bit more time, we might actually walk through the questions together, but let me go through the CPOP and then we'll go to question 4. Now, I also want you to remember, sometimes this gets people a little bit held up. I ask the same questions the same way. So if I ask a question that is not one of those 5 questions, it means I'm poking, because I know there's something that we talked about in the green room that I wanted to hear more of. The thing I would say is, if I ask a question that's not one of those 5, you need to go into TV mode and give me a 5 or 10-second response. Right?
Okay.
It's just something that's really powerful that I know the audience needs to hear. So in terms of your audience, I was thinking about the word professionals, in terms of who you serve as opposed to people.
Sure.
And if I was thinking about you, now you said it when you answered question 2 in a little more robust way. I believe your CPOP are professionals who are not in the news.
Cool.
How's that feel to you?
I like that.
So if you don't mind, why don't you practice? What's your CPOP?
Well, I'm trying to avoid saying I or we. Professionals who are not in the news.
And by the way, thank you. A lot of people, sometimes they'll say my CPOP is, or I support, or I work with. And so what you have to think about, and by the way, it was not easy for me when I was doing the interviews to actually say the word humans first. When somebody says, what do you do? Right. And somehow, if you need to answer that question, but ultimately I might say something that ultimately gets to the point where I go, humans that want to be seen as credible. And I have to figure out how to tie that in without saying I do this or we do that. So your CPOP is, try it again.
Professionals who are not in the news.
Beautiful. Now, do you feel like you'd answer question 2 when I say, tell me more? Do you feel like you'd have a slightly different answer for that?
I was playing around with, we solve the problem of anonymity.
Yeah.
Because nothing's worse than being anonymous, especially if you have a for-profit business. How does that one strike you, Mitchell? We cure anonymity.
So by the way, I love that. And I would certainly feel comfortable with you incorporating that into your answer to number 2.
Yeah.
One of the problems with anonymity is the same thing with the problem with the word credibility. It's hard to spell and It's not easy to remember.
Yes.
And given the name of your company, professionals who are not in the news is gold. And Jeff, here's one of the things I'm going to say is when we're done and you get to relax from the conversation, when you go back and look at your website, you have a great website, and you go back and you look at your LinkedIn profile, you should optimize your LinkedIn profile and optimize your website based on that particular CPOP. And it's not that it's going to change a lot, but what you want to do, because of your company name, you do reinforce it and you've got good things going, but you want people to go, wait, if somebody says I'm not in the news, they immediately think of you. And I think of you for a couple of different reasons, but I'm not sure I would always, up until now, think of you when somebody said that. And that's what you want. You want to be memorable and shareable. So professionals who are not in the news. Oh, I like Phil. Professionals are not in the news yet. That's true. That could be the tagline afterwards. Thank you, Phil. All right. So why don't we, like I said, if we had more time, we'd go through questions 2 and 3 again, but let's go to question 4. How do you go about sharing your credibility?
So by virtue of us doing our job very well, our clients are actually marketing for us. So, when we get clients on Fox or CNN, they're bragging about it on social media and their friends see it. And then by helping them launch a professional looking podcast, they're inviting guests on. Guests are saying, wow, this is a cool show. How does this work? So it's almost like, everybody, if you ask people where do their leads come from, everybody says, customer referrals, word of mouth. Mine is word of mouth on steroids, because by virtue of us doing our job really well, it's, you know, their friends are seeing their success. Is that
I like it, and it's missing one small component. So I'll
okay?
give you a suggestion.
Please.
It's missing the heart,
Okay.
and the heart that's missing is what your team does to make the now new show host or the now new person feel that they're good at what they do. And so what I would say in general, when you're answering questions 2, 3, and 4, each one of those questions are about a minute. Question, and one of them you could make 2 minutes. If you're going to make anyone longer than anyone else, the question 4, when you talk about how your people take such a beautiful uh, interest in making sure your clients are successful at what they do, and not as much about what you do, but more about the client shining. And what do you do when somebody says, oh, I'm uncomfortable, or the mic's wrong, or the lighting's wrong, like just the beautiful, I use the word beautiful a lot, the TLC that goes into what you do. You want to try that one more time? How do people so how do you go about sharing your credibility?
So I'm gonna try and take them in a different direction based on the tip you just gave me. I like to tell people I have a thank God it's Monday company. I've hired a bunch of pleasers. I'm a pleaser, and I hired a whole bunch of pleasers. So we're all exactly the same. We just want praise. Just tell us we're wonderful. So when you have a bunch of pleasers, they just go, they bend over backwards to help people. Holden, what time did you get here this morning?
Yeah, 6:45.
6:45. And this is volunteer. We're volunteering this to help Success North Dallas. But Holden didn't grumble when I said, hey, it's an early wake up call tomorrow. And so I have a bunch of people who just love to please people. And the compliments that I get from the public is, not only are you producing a first class product, but your team is so nice. They're so sweet.
That's it. And add one more, just add a little bit as we go through the interview. Add a little bit to that. Jeff, that's beautiful. There's that word again.
I'm gonna add just one more, just because this. So we have a catering company come in, and they feed us all every day, and they bring in twice as much food as that my team could eat. We've got 20 full-time employees, and so they bring in about food for 40, and so people show up, and their guests, their clients. There's just kind of this menagerie of people who come and go every single day. And the compliment that I've received recently is that you have, it's different people than it was yesterday, but you have really created spiritual stew. And what I mean by that is, I brought the pot. Somebody else brought the carrots. Somebody else brought the chicken broth. It always tastes different every single day, but it's going to be yummy because of the people who showed up that day.
All right, now you're getting goosebumps. And then Jeff, how do people reach out to you?
How do people reach out to me? Well, the obvious answer would be my website, or come, shoot me an email, Jeff Grilly at Real News PR. Come take a tour. I mean, is that what you're looking for?
I typically like two things.
Okay.
So what if I was thinking about, based on what you just said, you could say, listen, if you're in the Dallas area, come to the studios, take a tour, shoot me an email, give your email address. Otherwise, or if you're interested, check out our website and then give the website address.
Okay.
That'd be a great way to do it. Now, could you do one thing and change your name from RNPR just to Jeff Crilly on Zoom? Would you mind doing that? Or could somebody do that for you?
Can you do that? See,
I went to do it. So normally what happens is, thank you so much. That's awesome. So how are you feeling? You comfortable?
I love it. You're a very kind coach. I'm glad we did this exercise.
Oh, no, me too. And I love it. What's your CPOP again?
Let's see. Hold on. Professionals who are not on the news. Did I say that right?
I don't know if it's on or in, whatever is more comfortable, but yeah, it's professionals who, I think we said in, professionals who are not in the news,
Yes.
not on the news. I think in the news sounds a little bit better.
Yes.
So what would happen? Now, this is not my Zoom room. So let me tell you what would happen now. I need about a minute and a half. I typically, since it's not my room, I can't do a Facebook Live. So normally what I would do is I'd set up a Facebook Live and I take about a minute and a half. It gives the guest a little bit of time to relax and refresh. And, you know, I'll put in your bio and some keywords about you, and then we would go. And, oh, don't worry about it, Bill. We're okay. And so why don't we pretend like we're doing live, and I'll just go through the interview process. And then for my team, Jeff, I actually want to, the reason I show the output, we're going to do everything we showed.
Okay.
So as soon as we, Jan, as soon as we can get the video, I'll have my team process the cred reel, and then we could share it because this is what we're doing live, right? And so, and we could share it to everybody. All right. So normally it takes a minute and a half. We're doing a little bit of banter. We're relaxing, right? And then I go, are you ready? Are you feeling comfortable? Are you ready to have some fun?
You bet.
All right. Well, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Thought Leader Life, where we're interviewing credible experts from around the world on who they are, what they do, in essence, their credibility. Today's guest is Jeff Crilly, CEO of Real News PR, an amazing individual who has done countless of things to bring people into the news. Jeff, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it is an honor. I've enjoyed our relationship since you and I have met. And I've enjoyed our green room conversation because you just have so much heart. I'd love the audience to get to know you through your CPOP. What is your customer point of pain?
Professionals who are not in the news.
You know, with the fact that everyone has one of these cameras and you can't see it, but everyone has one of these microphones, anyone who wants to jump in the news can. And it's so interesting. There's so much noise out there. You know, how do you actually break through the noise? Jeff, tell me a little bit more.
We specialize in getting people in the news, print, radio, and television as thought leaders. So realtors become real estate experts, lawyers become legal experts, doctors become medical experts. And then we also have a division in which we give people their own TV show. Some people call it podcasting, but you know, I've spent close to $400,000 on TV studios, so I'm just going to call them TV shows. And by virtue of the fact that you have a TV show, there's a lot of credibility that goes along with that.
Yeah, that sounds really good. And Jeff, how do you have credibility to do what you do?
I spent 25 years in front of a TV camera, Lansing, Omaha, Minneapolis, Dallas, on the streets of Dallas for 15 years. Wrote a book on publicity, sold 70,000 copies of that book through speeches, 300 speeches a year for 6 straight years. And then since then, I've given away another 30,000 books.
And how many clients have you been in front of?
Over the course of the last dozen years, more than 1,000 clients, but currently we have 135 clients on retainer, the largest being Walmart, the smallest being an author at home with a book.
Nice, beautiful. How do you go about sharing your credibility?
Well, I like to brag that I have a Thank God It's Monday company. I've hired these pleasers who work tirelessly to make our clients feel special. We really give everybody the VIP treatment. And a guest of our studios recently said, Jeff, you've assembled spiritual stew. You brought the pot, and somebody brought the broccoli, somebody brought carrots that day, somebody brought potatoes that day, and it's a wonderful, wonderful stew. But every day is different, and it depends on the people who come into our little slice of heaven.
Now, I've actually been in your studios twice, but I hadn't done the lunchtime. I am so looking forward to being back in your area. Listen, if you're watching or you're listening to this, you've thought Jeff Crilly is somebody to pay attention to. And Jeff, what would be a good way for people to reach out to you?
Well, absolutely. They could go to the website, realnewspr.com. There's some video tours that you can take on there, or you can just shoot me an email and I'm happy to jump on a Zoom call or give you a tour if you're in the Dallas area. Jeff Crilly at realnewspr.com.
Jeff, thank you so much for sharing your credibility with us today.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
And if you're still here, here's what you need to do. Spread a little bit of cred dust, click on the like button, share with your friends, and we'll see you at the next episode of Thought Leader Live. Take care, everyone. Bye now. Then I'd click the recording off and I'd say, Jeff, dude, you did awesome. Congratulations.
That was wonderful, especially when you gave me all the answers ahead of time. You can tell I'm a praiser. I want the teacher to praise me.
Well, you know what happens is if you go back to the TED, we've just been taught wrong. It is so simple when you think about this concept called, and yeah, I agree. Ben says you did awesome. And it's so simple when you think about this concept called, purpose. Like, who are you? And we don't talk purpose because we're not heart-centered people. But it turns out that your CPOP is truly you executing on your purpose. The fact that you have a community, that the love shows up in your room, that it's a thank God it's Monday company, that's your purpose. And so to be able to say professionals who are not in the news is a really beautiful thing. And what happens is if you then, and Bill, I'll just finish this one thing. I'll hand the floor back to you. If you then, that's your CPOP, that's your compass. That's what guides you. Now, when things come in the door, if it fits your compass, you decide to do it. If they don't, it's easy to say no. When you go to your website and go to LinkedIn and you optimize around your CPOP, you end up magnetizing your compass. And that's what brings people to you. As a matter of fact, that's how you answered. Wow. That's how you answered question 4. So anyhow, Jeff, thank you so much. And everyone give Jeff Crilly for being a round of applause or shakes or eyes. And
thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Wow. That was unbelievable. But Mitchell, what's your wrap?
So I was thinking, God, Bill wants me to rap.
Let me put it this way. What's your 60-second wrap up?
Yeah, I got you. So what, if you want, Bill, I can do the Credibility Nation pledge and make the offer, or did you want to do that after I wrap?
We'll just do that right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Success North Dallas is adding something to its membership as you come into it. We're going to ask every new member to take the Credibility Nation pledge. We're also going to ask every existing member to take it, starting with those online today. And then after the fact, do a screenshot of the Credibility Nation pledge, get your iPhone and video yourself giving that pledge. And we're going to start posting those on the Success North Dallas website. So Mitchell, why don't you lead us in the pledge? Unmute everybody. And this is the Credibility Nation pledge, which has now become a part of Success North Dallas.
And guys, we'll do a 1, 2, 3, and if everyone could be unmuted, that would be fantastic. It turns out when we sat here and started thinking about the pledge, it's just one of those things that this is something we can do. This is us. This is Bill taking action, and I'm honored that you would want to do this.
So, this is something we are doing. Not want to do. We are doing. So let's do
sorry. You're so right. Bill, thank you for the correction. This is something we're doing, and we want all organizations to start doing this. We want you to do this. So are people comfortable? Can I get on a 3? Do you guys want to say, since I'm an AHA guy, on 3, can we do AHA? So 1, 2, 3,
Aha.
Ah.
Uh-huh.
So let's try that one more time because that sounds a little bit like a bunch of different cats, and it was beautiful to hear. But let's try. We're gonna do 1, 2, 3. We'll do an aha, and then we'll do the pledge. Okay. So ready? 1, 2, 3.
Ah.
With a sneeze. That's even better. All right. I think we're good. Let's try this, and it just starts with I pledge. So I want to walk through it again. This is the credibility. Actually, how about we do this? I'm just going to say this is the Credibility Nation pledge. I'll wait a second and then we'll start. Sound okay with everyone?
Yep.
All right. So this is the Credibility Nation pledge. I pledge
Pledge
to
live
live
to live
bravely
every day.
every
day
day
without
without
hate
hate in my life.
Strive
I strive to be a
Strive
good
to
human
be a
and
good
make
good
this a better
human.
planet.
Make
For
this a
myself,
better planet.
myself,
and for
Myself,
other people's
family,
families,
other people's
people's
generation,
families,
and the next.
families
this
in this
generation,
generation and
and
the
the
next.
next.
live incredibly
Okay.
every day without hate in my life.
Thank you, Aaron.
Be a good human. Make this a better planet for myself, my
Oh, I was loving that. That
Yeah,
was beautiful.
was that Aaron Alvia? But ladies and gentlemen, the Credibility Nation pledge. I pledge to live credible every day without hate in my life. I strive to be a good human and make this a better planet for myself, my family, and for other people's families in this generation and the next. And Success North Dallas is a multi-generation family. I think this so fits and so exemplifies what we are doing, not just today, but thinking of our grandkids and our great grandkids. This is going to make a huge difference. This is a movement, and you all are on the ground floor of the movement. Mitchell, thank you so very much.
Oh, you're
No words, just thank you so very much. And
I'm
there's
honored.
there's just a grab of the Credibility Nation prices, what they're doing.
And I'll give Bill, I'll just give one thing. If you want to scan this in, take a picture. We have a basic membership and that price goes up. And so for $50 a year, you will get continual learning and growing on credibility. And so that's the URL. I'll put it in the chat as well. aha.pub/CNS basic-SND. So that'd be great.
Yeah, that would be great because it's not just staying up to date on credibility, it's being a part of the movement. It's not just getting an email or two, it's being a part of the movement. And I think that I've had the opportunity, I know that I've had the opportunity to see a lot of people try to start things. And we all know that you can tell in the first 5 minutes if it's a bust or not. In the first 5 minutes of talking with Mitchell about this crazy, idiotic idea a year ago, I'm saying, oh my God, this is something, this will change. And Mitchell,
I just want to say this is my life mission, guys. Just thought I'd share. It's to tip the scale between Credibility Nation and Dubious Nation. And this is what I get to do. So before I die, I will do that. And I'd love as much help as we as human beings can give.
my friend, thank you. You know, we always do a speaker's gift. And this is going to be a little bit different. I asked if your wife was going to be on. His wife's name is Alex. Because I wanted to get your hat size. I wanted to measure your head. Because I'm so tired of seeing you in those little funky hats. We're going to send you a Stetson hat from Texas. As a thank you gift for being a third-time speaker, for writing a book, for starting a movement, and for just being that crazy friend of mine and crazy friend of Success North Dallas's, Mitchell Levy. Mitchell, we love you. Thank you. I I have never seen him except once when we told him to take his hat off without a hat. That hat. And I don't know if he has, I don't know if he's one of these guys that opens up his closet, like you see 40 white shirts, 40 suits, 40 sport coats. Across the top of his closet, it's not 40 hats. We love you, my friend. And
Thank you.
I can't say enough good about it. And Mitchell, we don't have speakers back 3 times in a row. And we didn't have a speaker back 3 times in a row. We had a friend back 3 times in a row. And I want to thank you for that. And upcoming, it's 2021. Oh my God, the year is shaping up to be extraordinary. We will continue to broadcast our regular in-person meetings every 3rd Wednesday live. Also, we're going to continue the virtual town halls. And our goal in the virtual town halls is to attract some people that just simply won't fly in for a meeting. They don't have time. But, and I'm talking about the chairman of Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100 companies, thought leaders, difference makers, the town halls, and at our Success North Dallas regular meetings. The town halls are open to all Success North Dallas members. There will be a charge if you're not a member. And it's inspirational. And upcoming sponsored events, before I get to Randy, we've got the Lone Star Council meeting of C-Suite on January the 7th. It's at 8:30 in the morning. It will be virtual. A few of us will probably go over to Venture X at the Realm with Essie. But Daniel Abroad, are you out there? If you are, just wave and make yourself known. Daniel started this. He's the director of it. Both Jeff and myself are honored. He's the founding director, and both Jeff and I, and Crilly and myself, were honored to be on his board or one of the founding directors along with Essie. So it's been really, it's you don't know C-Suite, and you don't know the hero. You're missing something. Please mute yourself. If you don't know the Hero Club, you don't know C-Suite, you're missing something. And you can contact Jeff Crilly, myself, Daniel Abroad, Susan Young. So many of us are part of it. And we started it here in Dallas in 2014 at the Fairmont Hotel when Jeff Hazlett called me and said, "Hey, Bill, I've got this crazy idea." Right. He tells me about C-Suite. I want to try the first one in Dallas. Can you get 150 to 200 people? I'll bring 100 in from out of town. And I said, sure. And that was the beginning of C-Suite. Then to Hero Club and to so many other things. So I'd encourage you to come and join us on January the 7th. And then on January the 8th, the second Friday of January. Randy, who do we have?
Hi, Bill. Thank you very much. And we're going to do 2 books in January at the first Friday book synopsis, which is the second Friday because of the holiday. The first Friday book synopsis, I read books and I give comprehensive handouts and give you the content of the book. The first one is going to be Post-Corona: From Crisis to Opportunity by Scott Galloway. This book is about what we're going to be doing post-corona, and it's going to be very helpful. It made the New York Times bestsellers list this month. And then I'm picking up a book I missed a while back that is very famous and very respected. It is by Ryan Holiday. This is the 3rd book I've done by him. It is called The Obstacle is the Way: The Timeless Art of Turning Trials into Triumph. And I think this has a message we need now. So those are the 2 books, January 8th, First Friday book synopsis, and the link is in the chat. Bill, Jan, thank you very much.
I have read, I've read The Obstacle is the Way, and it's a fabulous book for right now. So ladies and gentlemen, This is I used to say the second most important meeting in North Texas, but I have to say it's one of the two most important meetings in North Texas. And you will walk
Great.
away from this saying, time well spent. Now, I want to make a mention. Obviously, we're all on borrowed time with finances and everything else. So as a virtual guest today, we would request, if you feel right, to make a donation under our donation link on our website. Suggested is 20. We've had people give 100. We've had people give 5. But we would really appreciate that because you don't generate the revenue when you're not in person as normal. And we do other things other than just have meetings. So think about that. And if you really enjoyed today, the best thing I can say is just go to the membership. Join us, become part of our family. It's $345 a year. That's all 12 meetings, continental buffet, best of the best in speakers, first time guests that you bring are free, and truly the place where meaningful, lasting, and wonderful relationships are made. And just join today, and we'll add a couple of extra months. Just that simple. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. We're also invoicing current members. Now we've gone back to our invoicing. So when you get an invoice, please make Jan happy. I don't like it when Jan's not happy. Pay your invoice. And if you, in fact, you haven't paid an invoice in a while, just go ahead and give Jan $345 for your invoice. And he'll be
I'll take every dollar.
We want to keep Jan happy. We also do
Thank
at
you,
these
Bill.
meetings. Yeah, right. We also do at these meetings special introductions. And we want to save those for the in-person. But when I talk about special introductions, I'm talking about people that are new to North Texas. They're looking for work in the transition mode or looking for an internship, and our new members. So we will do that when we're back in person. And I just simply, I love you all. I saw Clint David out there, and I haven't seen Gary Tennell in forever, Greg Smith, and Mitch's right-hand person, Janalee Mente, who I absolutely love. And a big hi to Dottie Reeder, Brandy Miles. Thank you all for coming. And in closing, we will be sending a link of the video of this morning out to all registered attendees. And I would encourage everyone right now, if you look at the chat, there's 3 dots. Hit those 3 dots, it will copy the chat for you because there's a lot of wonderful, wonderful information in that chat. So copy the chat. We're a few minutes over 9. I don't apologize for that because I think this meeting could have gone on forever. Jeff, you are wonderful. Holden, we love you. Holden has met me so many times at Real News PR at god awful early in the morning to do things. It's just been unbelievable. And I'm going to close it in my own way with just know, like, and trust. Know, like, and trust. How powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, may you do what you love to do with people you love to do it with on purpose. God bless and Godspeed. What a wonderful morning. Now, Jan, Michelle, let's see who's out there. Everybody unmute. Remember, the loudest voice gets the mic. So who's first?
I have a question for Mitchell.
Excellent.
Mitchell, terrific presentation. This is a blunt question. There are people who do not deserve for you to tell people about them. They have ruined their credibility. They do not have integrity. How do you deal with that kind of person when you know that they are not people of integrity, but they want you to help them?
going to answer your question directly. Great question, by the way. Let me add one comment. When I was started doing the interviews, one of my friends said to me, Mitchell, what if you actually do unlock the code to credibility and those people like Bernie Madoff start using it? What I'm going to say, for people who run service firms like Jeff Crilly and myself, I actually have said no to people as part of the green room conversation. I've said, you're not ready. Now it turns out I've not had to. There was only one person who just was not credible at all. It's the person who didn't want to learn from anybody. I have had people who they just didn't have enough experience. They couldn't answer question number 3 well. And I just said, you're not ready for what we're doing. Let me tell you what would get you ready. So Randy, there are 2 choices. And one is you can say, no, thank you. So if somebody wants to hand you a check as a client, but you're not feeling comfortable, it is within your power to say no. And that, Randy, is something that you have to do. That's something we all have to do. Let me give a different answer, if you don't mind. What happens is technology, in my mind, we're still in the industrial age. And we just have this technology that makes all the bullshit we learned in the industrial age easier to propagate. When we move into the global village, it'll be a lot like the village economy we used to live in. In the village economy, if there was a vendor that was doing a bad job, let's say the person making bread, if the bread makers started getting people sick, there isn't a bread police that would go in and say, hey, there's something wrong. The village itself would help self-correct. And what happens is, if the person doesn't self-correct, they would get ostracized. When we hit the global village, technology will come up to the speed where those people who are dubious, those people who don't have integrity, they won't even get to you. They can't. Because what you will put on filters that say, hey, I don't want spam. I don't want spam people. That would be how I answer. Is that give you the type of thought process that you were looking for?
Yeah, it does. And I do think you're optimistic there, because I think there's a lot of dubiousness that is still getting through all over, but you're right. We're in early days. So thank you.
You're welcome. And I hate to say you're right too, but yes, you are. And let's fix that.
Yeah.
Anybody
Hey,
else?
Mitchell, I've got a question. So Yoram Solomon, who you may know, wrote the Book of Trust, and there's a lot of commonality between what he promotes in being trustworthy and what you're talking about with credibility. One of his components, the first component, is competence, and I didn't see that among your pillars. Could you maybe expand on that a little?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I started thinking about what's relevant, and if I'm thinking about competence, what I'm thinking about is areas like in the know part, your intent and your commitment to serve. So if you have a customer point of pain but you can't serve, credibility would be saying, I'm not there yet, but I want to experiment. I want to try. So depending on the level of competence would be how you present yourself. So, when I started the interviews, Jim, I thought I knew what I was going to do and what I would unravel as part of credibility. And I have a step process of where I had major aha moments. I just picked 475 because it was the most massive. And competence, when you think about someone like Jeff Crilly versus somebody who's had 10 clients or 3 clients, they have different levels of competence. And that is how you present yourself. And so it's not on the trustworthy side, it's your integrity, your vulnerability, your authenticity is really what comes into play there. But it's not the word. I didn't use the word competent. So that's an interesting, I don't think I would change anything, but it's bundled into like what's really interesting to me. There's so many different ways to take definitions and change things. And what ended up coming out of the interviews is an opportunity. When I say blueprint, if we actually follow the 10 components of credibility, we actually have an opportunity to live and act credibly. And so competence is a piece of that, because if you're presenting yourself as somebody you're not competent, and subsequently you're dubious. But I'll think that a little bit more. I'll probably have a better answer as I let that stew in my brain a little bit. But that's how I would answer it at the moment.
You might, if you haven't already, look up Yoram Solomon, his book of trust, and just explore and see how you reconcile your approach with his approach. There may be common ground that might benefit both.
Perfect.
Jim, that book is out of print at the moment. I just checked, but it's apparently going to be reissued in January.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Randy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Anybody else?
think I've seen his work. So John Ballas unmuted himself. Hello, John. Good to see you.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm awesome. Thank you. Nice to see you.
So, one thought, Mitchell, is for the group. I've added CPOP to my series of questions for leadership when I go in to decide whether I can actually help them or not. And you talk about dubious. So what you actually find within the organization, who is credible and who is dubious, that's going to be a challenge for you if you engage with that client.
That is so cool, by the way. Thank you. Great to hear. Yeah, so John and I right now are working on a book, which is pretty close, actually. This close. It looks like a January release, so we will let people know about that.
It's a great book. Having read The Galley, keep it in the back of your mind. It's going to be a book you want to read. And speaking of books, I know Mitchell, that's my book Mitchell and I put together, Being a Catalyst for Success, The Fulfilling Life of a Servant Leader. And Tom Leppert wrote the foreword to it. And this is that book that I couldn't get out of me. So I think Mitchell has a little time left, but if you're looking to get that book out of you, I would strongly recommend that you have a 10 or 15 minute conversation with Mitchell about what a book really is and out of that book and what it can do for you long term. So just a shameless plug for my book, but a bigger shameless plug for Mitchell. I don't know how in the heck he got it out of me. I'd worked on this for 3 years and I was so frustrated. I can tell you several times I just wanted to go to recycling. No, it didn't even deserve recycling, the trash can, and get rid of it. So keep that in the back of your mind, ladies and gentlemen. It's a big deal. And with Crilly, we did a program, a Success North Dallas at Jeff Crilly's office. And our guest was David Pillsbury, the CEO of Club Corp. And we walked around and toured it kind of beforehand, before Jeff even got there. And he said, I'm amazed. And so during the presentation, during the meeting at the end, he said, we need you. And he said, I'm going to get my team leader of all the communications, whatever, the EVP, and we need you. You've got all of this, and we had no idea. And so now that's where you'll see the Club Corp presentations coming from. And so those are the little things that happen by putting two people together, taking a step back and watching the magic happen. That is Credibility Nation at work. So who's next?
So Mitchell, this is Mike Rochelle. Bill, can I go?
Absolutely,
Yeah, go
Mike.
ahead, Mike.
Hi,
Yeah,
Mike.
so I've.
That's our
I've got
happy
some-
hour sponsor. Well, that's
Ooh.
Cody's,
So
a
I have
happy
some-
hour sponsor.
Well, if we can get everybody to let us do it together, that'll be a great day. This is it's been a joyful morning, and I wanted to commend you for that. You didn't have that in your list of values, but I think you exude joy. And my question to you is, how do you fill yourself for the day such that you can spread joy to others?
Wow. That's a really, really interesting question. You know, I have to, I'm taking my glasses off for that one. Thank you. I believe that we all were put on earth for a particular reason, for a particular purpose. And when you could wake up in the morning and every day is a Monday, Monday being a positive thing versus a negative, and you just live and execute on your purpose, it's kind of fun. The if It'll be interesting to see the Real News PR website and LinkedIn profile, assuming Jeff decides that this seat pop's the right thing for him, and how it gets transformed. And to be able to go back to the people I interviewed, it's now I think 550, to be able to go back and see for some of them who actually what sometimes when you show somebody the perfect answer, they don't recognize it, and they're not willing to accept it. There
Right.
is something so amazingly fundamentally cool when somebody goes, I don't know if you were watching and capturing it, when Jeff says, when I first shared his C-pop, he goes, oh, right. And
Right.
that
Uh-huh.
is so beautiful. Now then he went back and he said, well, how about something else? So that means it hasn't quite settled in yet. And so the ability for me, the ability to wake up and know that change is happening, the ability to wake up and to know that it's so much more, life can be and should be so much more simpler than we've made it as part of the industrial age.
Yeah.
And it's just so much fun. So I don't have joy every day. It depends on what I'm doing. Some days are better than others. Today, what's happening when we're done, I get to take a small break. I'll tell my wife how it went. Bill, she wouldn't come to an event like this because she'd be too nervous for me. And
Tell her she was missed.
oh, I will. I'll let her know. She and I do send out our prayers to you, and we think about you daily. What's interesting is I decided, and the team is going nuts because I decided to do a 5-day credibility challenge on the last week of the year. And so what I haven't done yet is shot the videos. So I'm kind of excited when we're done and I'm done talking, and I'll spend as much time as people want. I'm going to sit down and I'll shoot 5 videos that will go with the 5-day challenge. And basically it'll be over the holiday thing, and it'll be one thing you could do every day that will bring you a little bit further along on credibility. And I'm kind of excited about it. I'm not sure how it'll go. I'm sure the first time we do it, it's not going to be anywhere close to where it'll end up going, but it'll be a beautiful asset that twice a year we can enroll people to know about us through a 5-day challenge. We'll use Facebook as a backdrop, and for people who sign up, we'll have prizes and all that. And so it's, I don't know, experimenting with what's going on in the world and bringing joy to others brings joy to me. That's probably now that I've spent a lot of time talking about it, that's probably the summary I would give.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And keep up the good work.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you for saying that. Anyone else?
Mitchell? Yeah, I have a comment. When we did my CPOP, the cred reel, it was interesting because you were able to tackle emotions that I ignored. And you were able to mine things like that I just assumed, okay, fine, good, whatever. And you put a lot of things into a different, well, highlighted and different, but also changed the priority that they had in my life. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have the opportunity, reach out to, again, to Mitchell for that conversation. Lucinda, I want to thank you for getting out. I've watched all of that, the Twitter and everything else. Kathy, it's all blown up. And everyone, I really appreciate it. Let's kind of look toward maybe a wrap in 5 minutes. So who wants to speak or has a comment or a question for Mitchell? Or for me, or for Jan?
Bill, while people are building the courage, I'll just say that what I used to say to people before Bill Wallace is I would do a 2-hour interview, and that would be enough for me to pull the genius out of somebody's head. And Bill, we were a little over 3 hours because you're such a oral personality with so many stories, and I can't not hear the stories. And so I now say 3-hour interview, and that's thanks to you, my friend. And you're actually, you're quoted in my book, right? So one of the things, if you sign up for membership, we'll send you a free PDF. But I don't know if you've seen this yet. Oh yeah, I did send you a physical copy, and I highlighted it.
Is it page 63?
It's I'm looking for it. I'm like, where is that again? The is it 63? Can't be. Generally, you know the answer. Where is Bill in my book?
Pick a number between 1 and 100.
So what happened is when I was talking with Bill, there was a point in time where I said, Bill, you're the most glass half full person I've ever met in my life. And at the time, I really realized, oh, there you are. You're in the preface. You're on page 20. And at the time, I really thought there was a bimodal role, glass half full, glass half empty. And what's interesting is Bill said, no, Mitchell, no, I'm not. And, every now and then sort of the life flashes before your eyes. I probably went through like 1,000 different responses in those 3 seconds of what Bill could have come back with. And he came back with, Mitchell, my glass is overflowing. My role is to serve others. And I go, wow, that's amazing. There are 3 types of people in the world. And it wasn't until the following morning that I realized there was a 4th. And the 4th, for those that were invited to my 60th online birthday party, we had a Zoom bomber.
Yeah.
And it turns out, so I dedicate my book, or the preface to my book is for the first 3 types of humans: glass half full, glass half empty, glass overflowing. And for the 4th class, there's nothing I could do with. Maybe this is a better answer for you, Mike. It's people whose glasses are turned upside down and glued to the table.
Wonderful. So it says on page 20. Wow. Yeah, Mitchell, I'm honored to be in your book. I'm honored to have one of the earliest copies. And this has been fun. I met this crazy guy with this crazy hat, with this crazy idea that went through a couple of year period, gestation period. And all of a sudden I had a book, and we're up in New York City on the 85th floor or something of the One World Trade. We've got these books. We're standing there looking out at the window over New York
That's
City.
a nice memory.
And we're doing some videos, and there's about 150 of us there from all over actually around the world. And through the week, I think there were about 600 different people that came, but it was started out as C-Suite and then Hero Club. And we had our books, and we had our books as a very unique business card, as a very unique remembrance. And I mean, the relationships that have been made, the gifts. You know, Jeff Hazlett, his daughter Lindsay, Trish Ben, now Daniel LeBron, right here in Dallas, and putting together this incredible Lone Star Council of C-Suite, January the 7th. A lot of great stuff going on. But that's how I met Mitchell. Anybody else have anything to say before we head out? Jan, Michelle?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Mitchell. I think it was an excellent looking at all the comments. This was a over the topper, and I really enjoyed you putting Crilly on the spot. I could just see somebody coming in with, getting his forehead, get the drops off his forehead. He's sweating, trying to get it out there. But Jeff, you did an awesome job being put on the spot. Thank you, Mitchell.
You're very kind.
I so agree. And I know he carries a compact around with him just to keep those sunspots off of his head.
That's what was on his desk.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
thank you.
We look
Thanks,
forward to
Jan.
seeing.
You bet.
We look forward to seeing you on the third Wednesday of January. Please reach out to any of us, Jan, myself, Michelle, Jeff Crilly, if you have any questions or a way that we might be able to help you. And be sure you reach out to Mitchell. If there's a book, if there's an interest, something else on the Credibility Nation. And Mitchell, would you screen share that Credibility Nation shot as we close this so everyone can take a picture of it for $50 a year? What can I say?
Okay.
I guess I could say it like this. I'm in.
And I'll screenshot and I'll tell a story because Jeff was able to get me on a radio show. So he did the announcement and a radio show actually had me on drive time yesterday. And apparently it was a 2-host show, and one of the hosts was uncomfortable taking the vaccine. So it was a credibility boost of like, well, why should people take the vaccine? And Jeff, if you'll notice, it's now part of my presentation, because what I mentioned was that the highest credible professions were nurses, doctors, and pharmacists. And so the focus that I shared was just simply that if we as Americans are actually saying that doctors, pharmacists, nurses are the most credible, they wouldn't actually recommend that we take a vaccine that would be uncomfortable, that would cause long-term harm. Now, there are things that we don't know, but what I said in the talk is their agenda is not typically a personal agenda. Their agenda is certainly not a political agenda. Their agenda is a human agenda. And so, because I was thinking about, well, what do I know when I told my wife, hey, listen, I'm on talk show radio and I'm actually talking about why we should take the vaccine. She goes, why? But then when I mentioned why, she goes, oh, that makes sense to me. And so it's just, so Jeff, by doing that, you've helped affect the TED Talk that's coming up. And I so appreciate that.
Well, everybody take a screenshot. And I want to thank ISSA Charities, ISSA International, Cleaning for a Reason, for the incredible program they put together for us. I think it's one we're going to have to repeat. But, they speak to the standards of clean, the big arenas, the small, the cities. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, this is your last chance to copy the chat. So those little 3 buttons, copy the chat. And with that, Mr. Claudner, as Michelle, I believe we're ready to go out. And so I'm going to repeat it. May you do what you love to do with people you love to do it with on purpose. God bless and Godspeed. And thank you, Mitchell Levy. Take care, y'all.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
to everybody.
Christmas. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone.
You too.
Merry Christmas.
Everything.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, you all.
Bye. Take care. Merry Christmas.
Great job, Mitchell.
Oh, thank